Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. I believe that gratitude, and tell me if you agree with this, just give me a pinkies up in the comments. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, because I believe that gratitude is the root of all contentment. All contentment. And that joy is the result of this, in my opinion, anyway, of that deep contentment, because it's not about happiness. Happiness is happenstance. It's all very dependent on circumstances, very dependent. So if things are going crappy, your thankfulness and your happiness they go down into the toilet. But I'm going to tell you, this is what I find. Gratitude gets rid of matitude. Oh, that's so good. I love that. That's good. But here's what I read when I was looking at definitions today. And I thought this is so absolutely spot on accurate. That happiness is a response to circumstances being fortunate and convenient. Isn't that interesting? Fortunate and convenient. Fortune and the fortunateness and convenience do kind of sometimes go hand in hand. But I believe with all of my heart that when it's joy that we're seeking, then it's joy that we're going to get. Because joy isn't just about this fleeting and often elusive pursuit of happiness. It's a deep, presiding feeling. It's chosen. It's chosen. It's not the result of. It's chosen by us. So you may pursue happiness, but you choose joy. And choosing joy is an even though thing, right? Do you know what I mean? Even though things aren't perfect in my life, even though things aren't just the way I wanted them to be, even though I still choose joy. And it's not so because you're all, I got the joy down in my heart thing, it's not that. It's not the, clap it up and, let's have the beer brigade here. It's not that. Joy deeply resides in us, and I believe it is our connection to God. It is our connection to God. And guess what? Gratitude sure cultivates that. And that's what gratitude is. It is a cultivation. It's a curation as well. Much like joy, it's a chosen practice. It's chosen. I put gratitude in my meditation practice because it chooses and it selects for me the things that I need to dwell upon. If I have gratitude, I could get all worked up about anything. Just all of us can, but that's so low vibe. When we say, yeah, I'm just not going to go there. I know what that's going to lead to. When we have that overall analysis and we choose to connect with a higher vibe. It's a higher vibrancy. It's what living vibrantly means. Gratitude is at the root. It's at the core. And I'm going to just say this too, and you know this to be true. It doesn't come naturally. It doesn't. It doesn't just, I'm just going to choose joy. It doesn't, and it's not an easy thing to do necessarily, but it's a seed that we choose to plant, that we choose to cultivate and water and fertilize, and yes, weed. We weed out the garbage that's choking out that beautiful plant, that beautiful flower of gratitude. That's what it means to live in full bloom, by the way. Have you noticed that when flowers are choked out by the weeds, they're not going to come into full bloom. They can't. They're being crowded out by the garbage plants that are taking all the nutrients, all the water, crowding out that good soil. Yeah, I could go on and on with that whole metaphor there, but it's the truth. Gratitude is a wellspring for a beautiful life. A wellspring, the origin. I love that. I love that word wellspring, by the way. And it's from this too. Gratitude. Guess what else is produced from gratitude? Generosity. It's when you give of yourself, and not to the not the sacrificial garbage, and not to people please, but you give out of your abundance, and that abundance comes from that heart of gratitude. Isn't it interesting how this all feeds into one big, beautiful heart? Isn't it? So I believe it's at its core, it's cultivated, it's a curated value that when it's nurtured, it becomes abundant. And that's something to be thankful for, is it not? So I've got 4 things for you that I want you to kind of just maybe dwell on. Maybe this could be part of your meditation practice this week as we're in this week of Thanksgiving. And it's from the Luke verse that I just gave you, because it talks about giving, as you give, it will be given unto you. I believe that's because when we are giving from a place of gratitude, it just boomerangs back. I've heard people say, oh, good karma. Okay, if you want to use that term, whatever. But there's a balance there. There is, when you give, it is going to come back because, and you don't do it so that you can get back. You do it because you want to. You do it out of the generous nature of your heart. You do it because you want to bless someone. And have you noticed when you do that, when you give something that you didn't, that you no longer need, or that you give to somebody else? I mean, I had that happen to me so many years ago. This is when we very first moved to Charlotte, and we were in a 2-bedroom house, and I needed bunk beds for my kids. We had a small house and all of that. And I specifically, believe it or not, I wanted little red bunk beds because I had these cute duvet covers and everything for that. Meanwhile, I had these huge twin beds, and it was taking up all the room. They had no room to play and all of that. My kids are close in age, less than 2 years apart. And I remember I can't remember what it was that I gave, but I went through, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together either. We were living on, believe it or not, $100 a month was my grocery budget, and we did it. So for a family of 4, pretty crazy, right? But we did it. I was a really amazing shopper at that point, bought all the markdowns and everything. That's how we lived. And I didn't, and believe me, I didn't say to the kids, oh, we're just living in poverty, this, that, or the other thing. We had plenty. But, never something that wasn't marked down. Never something that wasn't marked down or at the grocery outlet or whatever. It was just, I knew where to find the deals. And that was kind of a part-time job for me, is doing that so that I could be present in my children's lives and have them in, getting nursery school and all the other stuff, But it is an amazing thing what happens when you come from that place of just abundance. And I would give plenty of what I got to another family. I remember this family that they had nothing, and they had 7 kids. They were, this is right when I was just before I started getting into homeschooling and everything. But this is, how things just kind of unwrap and show themselves. So one day I just remember giving this thing and thinking, wow, this has value. Maybe I should sell it. Maybe I should do this. And I wish I could remember for the life of me what it was, but I don't. I gave it away. And then I got a phone call. Remember those phones that were like attached to the wall? Remember those? We had a wall phone. This is in my little Charlotte house. We're living in Charlotte, North Carolina on Canterbury Road, by the way, if anybody knows where that is, right off Randolph Road. And the phone rang. I picked up the phone. It was my friend Felinda, and she said, I've got a friend who's got a set of bunk beds, and she said they're painted red. Would you be interested in them? I remember my jaw dropping. And I remember free bunk beds. They're red, just what I wanted, and they're for me. I gave something that was out of the abundance of my heart, and I remember praying about it at the time, thinking, should I sell it and what have you? And I just kept thinking, no, I need to just give it away. I was very convicted that that's what the thing was. And then it turned out that I got this set of bunk beds that they were red, matched everything that I was trying to do, matched whatever. I know maybe that's not important, but at the time I was trying to make the rooms cute for the kids, even though they were little. They were 5 and 3 at the time, or 4 and 3 at the time. And that's what we had. That's what we got. And these darling little beds, absolutely free. And I just really remember feeling just the gratitude that I had was just enormous. But I gave from a place of gratitude, for all the things that we had gotten and for all the things. Let me just say this, not that I'm a paragon of gratitude and virtue. I'm not. I've certainly done things, begrudgingly, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give a story of what happened way back when. And it was just, I'll never forget those red bunk beds as long as I live. It was just always a symbol until I turned around and gave them to somebody else who wanted them. Number 2 is in good measure. You know what it is? You can't outgive. Have you noticed that? You can't outgive the practice of generosity via gratitude. It just means that you just need to be in this place of thanksgiving and giving out of your abundance. You have something that is abundant. You have something that's abundant and some way that you can bless someone else. And when we do this, and we do it from our heart with love, you can't outgive this practice of generosity. And watch what happens. Number 3 is press down, meaning that this cultivated habit of gratitude and generosity causes movement, actual movement. It causes a shift in your attitude. It causes a new position or place. So this could mean a whole lot of different things. It means that, I think it means like abstractly, you shift in the way you think. Abstractly, your focus changes. And it's all your mindset. Simply by making this decision to cultivate this kind of a gratitude. And literally, your circumstances change too, like the red bunk beds show up. So I just say, watch what happens when you make this decision around gratitude. It's making a decision. It will be pressed down in good measure. And it will also be shaken together, right? And you know what this, I always think of brown sugar. And when you put brown sugar in the cup, like to measure, you take your knuckles and you press it all down in there, remember those days when you were using brown sugar and baking? We've all done it. We know what it is. But you think you've got a cup of brown sugar. No, you don't. Press it down. Add more. Add more. And that's what this is all about. You're making things a little more compact so that your 1 cup measurement can hold no more. Can hold no more. That's what generosity is through this practice of gratitude. Packed down, stirred together, overflowing. It makes me smile. It's abundance, It is the cornucopia with all the stuff flowing out. It's your family dinner table with family sitting there and passing bowls along. It's all of that. And you know what I promised myself I'm going to do this year as we sit down for Thanksgiving? I'm going to look out at my family and hopefully I'm going to maybe grab my phone and just take a picture of everybody, or a small video of everybody just enjoying themselves, enjoying the conversation and the smiling faces and watching those bowls get passed around. Because that is, I live for that. I live to see my people together and smiling and laughing and having this incredible meal, because that's what it's all about. You see, gratitude helps you to raise your energy level, which is your vibe, and pinkies up if you're a part of the high vibe tribe. We had a whole series on living in high vibe. And that resonated with a lot of you. Resonated, get it? Vibration, all of that. It resonated because you can feel the difference between being really low vibe and really down in the dumps versus being up. And the way it feels and your heart, practically jumping out of your skin, you know? Just that feeling, that nurturing, that love. And I feel like everybody's at the table loving each other. It's not just about the turkey. It's not, of course, we want to present a nice meal, right? But we want each other. Gratitude allows us to do that and raise that energy. And it also helps us to greet each situation with a corrected attitude. You know, just like hunger hormones, you know how to correct those, right? We need to correct our attitudes, and we do that with gratitude, because anger and gratitude cannot be together in the same vibe. You can't. You know, gratitude brings us to the place of a higher vibe and brings us to the place of enjoyment and love and appreciation. So it's a difference in how you feel, big time. Instead of being ticked off that Uncle Frank came to the table, you know, swilling his drink all over the place and getting a little tipsy and whatever. I mean, there's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be some kind of a Thanksgiving story. Instead of having, you know, this ticked off attitude, you instead have some gratitude, and the right words will come up, and the ability to deal with the situation will be a whole lot different, because you're raising the bar. You know, the vibe is higher, and the attraction to that is going to be that much higher. So my thoughts for you right now is start cultivating that right now as you're getting ready. Maybe you've got somebody difficult coming to your Thanksgiving this Thursday. Maybe there's a little concern that you have, and you're hoping that, you know, your dinner table's not going to turn into, you know, a whatever. Set some rules, set some boundaries. Look, no, you know, we're not going to talk politics. We're not going to talk religion. We're not going to talk, you know, even if we've got vegetarians coming to ours this year. I'm just, you know, hands off my turkey, but we're not going to put down your tofurkey or whatever. We're not having that. We're just having the sides. But, you know, we're not going to have a discussion of vegetarianism at my table. I promise you, not at my table. And one of the things that we're doing is I've got a jar, a gratitude jar, and 3x5 cards. And I want everybody to put something that they're grateful for into the jar. And we're going to read that at the table, as well as saying grace. So remember that resentment attracts more resentment and keeps you stuck. But gratitude breaks the cycle. It breaks the cycle. It breaks the neck of that darkness. I want you to shine your light, and I want you to shine your love, and I want you to shine your heart onto everybody that walks in your door. What if you had a meditation this Thursday that said, Lord, let me be a light? Because there's always going to be somebody, you know, somebody with the want, with the Eeyore cloud walking in your door. Isn't there? Let's change that. And let's let our little light shine, and let's be the light in the darkness. Because vibrancy is all about that high vibe, and having gratitude is how you get there. What do you think of that? Pinkies up. That's what I say about that. Peace be with you. And from my heart to yours, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.